Mildred. I work with Mildred. She's a good-looking blonde English woman in her mid-40s. Her ex owns a girdle factory in Liverpool. I think they're pretty well off. She seems to be on the prowl and I pick up the scent. I invite her for a drink at my local dive joint, Ed Max. The night bartender's my buddy, Harry. We used to be what they called punch drunk. His nose is flat from too many breaks, his eyebrows are heavily scarred from healed cuts, and his ears are what we used to call cauliflower. His boxing career did not treat his body well. Harry's a sweet, humble guy who always calls everyone kid, and I love him. Mildred and I enter Ed Max on Friday night, the joint's packed. Take the last 2 seats at the bar. Harry greets us with, "What'll it be, kids?" I look over at Mildred and ask her what she'd like. She says, "A gimlet." I look at her. Harry looks at me. Mildred looks at me with consternation. Harry says, "Lady, we got shots, we got beers, and we got shandy wine." That's how he pronounces Chianti. "What's it going to be, lady?" She turns to me with an arched eyebrow, gives me that look, and I know Mildred and I are not going to happen.
Knockout on 77th. Melt you with those cheap ice cubes made with the airfield centers. Her behind the bar calling all the old guys sweetheart. You walk in the place for a few Christmas beers and you're hooked, line and sinker. Close your mouth, kid. She regards you coolly with the slightest of something, tugging at the corner of her lips and coos, "Okay, baby, what's it going to be tonight?" God, if only you knew. Beer. Yeah, sure, beer. That familiar rat piss you've chugged for better than 40 years. You somehow managed to get that out. And away she goes like central casting, sent her over just to get to you. The edgeless bridge of freckles across the cheeks and nose, the Hershey kiss drop breasts, moving in other directions in the perpetual motion, anti-gravitational hips, churning figure eights, dual ponytails parted down the middle, hung in swinging high C's. She's the walking haunted dream in gold hoop earrings. Belly shirt, you know it. Pierced, probably, in all the places you can barely fathom. So you just put it back in your pants there. Settle down, Dad. I mean, after all, you're slobbering all over the bar. Just get with the prolonged, resigned sigh. Sit, relax, have a cold one, enjoy the view. And that's just what you managed to do. Watch her work the bar, work the regulars. Hell, after a while, I even think she worked you, and you were a walk-on. Lit your cigarette with your own lighter. Bent over to dig in the cabinet where her purse was, directly in front of you. More than once. Maybe with a small thug. So what are you gonna do? You just sit there and keep your hot horse shit to a minimum, verbally at least. But you know, you had to know what I was thinking. All the usual salacious stock footage. The biggest problem was that she was this walking montage of women I had known very well over the years, either once or repeatedly. Her composite hanging onto you by the ears and just riding. The mosaic of her brimming eyes in the bedroom candle shadows shining after the bar had closed at 5 a.m., waiting you to come to bed as you smoked one last cigarette. Nah, not these girls. These ghosts, these phantoms. They're only apparitions of this live and flesh walking reminder of how long it's ago since these things have gone and how certain nothing would ever match or come with this barroom fantasy. In the end, you made a point of saying goodnight, shaking her hand, getting shook just more than once with that grinning devil in her eye. Just take it in all one last time. Her eyes, maybe a bit curious, probably not. You tip more than you should have. And you keep that smile that lasts on the cold, dark sidewalk all the way down the subway station stairs.
Brenda and Bubba. Brenda worked noon to 8 at Dave's on 1st Avenue and 7th Street. There's a hardware store there now. Wednesdays and Thursdays, drinks are cheap and she pours heavy. I'm there around 1 for my weekly afternoon buzz fest. Bright sun is filtering through the large, dirty front window, illuminating a classic East Village joint. a late 60s jukebox and a pool table with warped sticks and chewed up felt. There are rules there when Brenda's working. The TV only shows Yankee games with the volume off, because her husband Bubba likes to watch the game and listen to the Sultans of Swing. So better not play anything else on the juke either while Bubba's there, or he'll pull the plug on you. Brenda's a worn-out version of Dolly Parton without the high hair and a thick muffin top where her waist used to be. Bubba's a younger version of Richie Havens. He loves Brenda, the Yankees, Dire Straits, and after 2 tours in Afghanistan, heroin. Everybody loves Bubba because he's so sweet on Brenda and he's so freaking mellow. He knows every musician who plays the village. He's that fucking cool. Just don't mess with this Yankee game, the Sultans of Swing, or his woman. Because then he's going to go all Green Beret on your ass. I check out at Dave's around 4 with a good buzz. Life changes quick around here. Jump ahead 2 months, Brenda calls to tell me Bubba's gone, dead from an overdose. I'm devastated. Such a sweet guy. I head over to the bar and we take up a collection. Barely enough is raised for a cremation. What to do with his ashes? Well, we're resourceful if nothing else down here in the East Village. We put Bubba's ashes in Maxwell House coffee can at the end of the bar, under the TV set with his Yankees hat over the lid. Bubba's home. Not too long after, Brenda said the landlord sold the building. Bar's closed in a couple of months. Probably going to be remodeled into a craft cocktail lounge with high prices, so Brenda's out of work and Bubba lost his final resting place. Brenda and I get drunk, and we cry a lot while she's hugging Bubba in that coffee can. Without Bubba's disability check and no job, she can't afford their apartment anymore. She moves to a roach-infested 6th floor walk-up in Chinatown. I'm thinking things ain't looking so good right now. Hey, we're coyotes. This ain't the first of the worst we've seen. We're street smart, and we ain't dead yet.
That's right.
Who's your daddy-o? Now, my old man and I used to take trains in the city when I was a kid till I grew up to be a pain-in-the-ass teenager. From the World's Fair excursions to the Santa Claus special around the holidays, some way we just head in and walk around. Old man didn't like subways, so we walked everywhere, from the Battery to the museums uptown. Now, this one trip, somewhere in between having it still be a big deal to the start of the novelty wearing off, right on the cusp of losing my childhood. He had a plan, a destination, yes, a routine. We'd have to go to St. Francis, right around the corner for the confession. He didn't trust local priests. And then to our favorite diner for hamburgers and fries. So this one time, we're down the East Village checking out record stores, and he liked jazz, I liked Frank Zappa. We always had an hour to kill till our train left, and we passed a park and a playground, and he asked me out of the blue, "Hey, want to try the swings?" Now, I was a little old for this, but I agreed, sure, why not? Let's swing. I think we were around either Thompson Square or the Flatiron Building. I don't remember. So I climb across one, and next to me, he sits down to smoke a Camel. The place is kind of deserted on a gray, muggy May afternoon, when these 2 guys come to sit on next to the set close to us. They're both in their 20s. Now, they look like a real oddball couple. All-American halfback from Oklahoma meets dark Brooklyn Jewish frizzy-haired lasses. One calls the other one Alan, and the other one says, "Hey, Jack." The one guy starts pushing the other one on the swing. They're talking, laughing, and then one of them lit up a real funny kind of cigarette that smelled funny, sort of like a skunk. My old man in his tie and jacket stiffened. Right away, he sensed, I knew he was uptight about something. Now, as I remember, he always dressed for our trips, man. Tie, white shirt, suit jacket. The bums or strays were always coming up to him, asking for butts or spare change, saying something like, "Reverend, can you spare a quarter?" He almost always gave them something, as he did the Sisters of Mercy, who sit at the bottom of the escalators at Penn Station, taking collections for the poor. But this scene was just not his deal, especially with a young son in tow. Now, he had been an artist out in the Hamptons in the 50s. He knew what was going on here. He started to hustle me away, saying, "We better start heading back to Penn to catch our train." Remember, we were walking to Midtown. As we're leaving, the football guy, pushing the Jew in boots, higher and higher called after us, "Hey kid, always swing with your dad."
Playing Picasso, R82. It's late. I'm sitting alone at the bar working on my third double jack, and I'm feeling really mellow. She leans across 2 seats, taps me on the shoulder, stares me dead in the face, and slurs out, "You look like Pablo Picasso." She's really pretty. I guess late 30s, early 40s maybe, sculpted cheekbones, and a great body packed in tight black leather. Her hair is long and straight and dyed black with bangs almost covering those haunted, crazy eyes. Exactly the woman I've always been a sucker for after 3 drinks. Pablo Picasso, yeah, I bet you get that all the time, huh? No, not really. She spots my fancy camera on the bar. "Hey, you're a photographer?" I said, "Sometimes, mostly. I just tell stories." She flashes a grin. "Hey, me too." She drifts off into some rambling drug story with a couple of lame attempts at being funny. I say, "You know, everything you say seems to have a sardonic twist of some kind, like a comedian or something." She smiles suggestively. "Well, I am a comedian." "Really? What kind of comedy do you do?" She says, "Dada." "A Dada comedian, really? Yeah. Could she be that hip? I don't think so." She asks, "What kind of comedy do you do?" I repeat, "I'm not a comic, I tell stories." She says, "Well, I'm sure my story is a lot more interesting than yours," as she slowly moves her face and her lips up very close to an attack position. "Hey, I have a Speedo at home that's older than you." She dusts me off saying, "You couldn't come close to my stories. Have you ever done crack?" No, I stopped at mescaline and coke. You obviously didn't." She again ignores my comments and asks, "Well, what comedians do you like?" "I don't know, Richard Pryor, Lenny Bruce, Sarah Silverman, Andy Kaufman." "Wow, you know, everybody thinks I am Sarah Silverman." "Really? Actually, I could see that. In a dark bar with enough drinks, she could pass for Sarah Silverman. And Andy Kaufman is my role model." She rests her hand on my thigh. My Cialis instantly kicks in, telling my body I'm 40 years old again, while Jack Daniels is agreeing and he's whispered in my head, "Go for it, man, you can do this." She seems pretty intelligent, somewhat creative, attractive, very sexy, and really fucked up. Just my kind of girl here. Why did they still seek me out, these beautiful, intelligent crazies? Do they see the leftover crazy in these old eyes, past the wrinkles in the beat-up face? Shouldn't she be able to see in me that it doesn't work? I'm living proof. I have the scars of battles lost with crazy drugs and booze. More important, why do I feel this incredible emotional and sexual magnetism here? It's an old feeling. I sure miss it. It feels good. Is it just the Cialis and the Jack Daniels, purely a chemical reaction? I don't think so. I know better, but still. I want to throw her in the back of a '60 Triumph Bonneville, race off to some cheap motel and make hard bandit love to her. We're crazy. That's the kind of shit we do, ain't it? Feel bad tomorrow. We're both losers. Heading for a Bonnie and Clyde ending here. Pablo Picasso, Sarah Silverman. 2 fucked up souls, irreversibly driving into a head-on, dead-on collision. She leans in and she hugs me way too tight. I feel myself wanting a lot more, but you know, age sometimes actually produces little bits of wisdom occasionally. I grab my camera and I head for the door. I hear her yelling behind me, "Hey, Pablo, man, where you leaving?" I've been in the same sad movie way too many times. I'm not going to hang around for the bad ending this time.